You're listening to Modern Male Radio with Jared Zavastosky and Sydney Hall, right here on LA Talk Radio.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Jared Zavastosky.
And I'm your host, Sydney Hall.
And you're listening to Modern Male Radio.
This is all the stuff your mama should have told you.
And the shit your daddy never knew.
And also with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we have dating coach and blogger Brian Reeves. Say what's up, Brian.
What's up, Brian?
Welcome, Brian.
Thank you.
Awesome. So for our listeners and viewers out there, Brian actually published a post that I had saved and shared on my profile. What was the name of the post?
The sexiest three words a man can say to a woman.
Yes,
that's right.
And
I'm still trying to figure out the sexiest three words a woman can say to a man. Haven't quite figured that one out yet.
I need to hear those.
It's way too easy. I mean,
I'm sure we can help you figure that one out.
Yeah, it's too obvious. It's too obvious.
It has to be a two-way thing.
It's too obvious. It's too obvious.
But yeah, look, so that blog post went like viral. I mean,
yeah, as of today, I think it's been shared, I mean, on multiple sites, but just on one alone, the Good Men Project's been shared about 516,000 times on Facebook.
Jesus.
Yeah, I read it. I read the post. It was very interesting.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm glad you think so.
So it's a very good article. I thought, just from a type of man that I am, I thought a lot of things that you wrote were obvious, but obviously they're not.
Obviously, they connected with something. Well, I'm curious. What do you think was obvious about it?
The obviousness of is a woman wants to be taken care of. A woman, you know what I'm saying? A woman wants to be not necessarily kept, but have that security in a man. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, I got this.
Right.
You know, that I got this. A man is supposed to have this.
Yeah, but
that's just supposed to have as a man, and that's how I feel.
Sydney and I have this dialogue all the time. He's like, no, that's common sense, and I'm like,
right.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't understand that. He's like, no, but how
right
every day we talk about
saying, you know, as I was reading, I was like, okay, wow, well, he's writing the obvious, but then also had to go back and say maybe it's not that obvious.
I don't think it is that obvious in our culture today, because we live in a world in which women have been taught really to get it themselves, right? So I mean, a lot of women are just growing up with that programming, and what I mean by that is also, and I want to be clear about this too, a lot of what I look at is the dynamics of masculine and feminine energy, which is not just a man or a woman thing. Right, masculine. He's raising his hand again, ladies and gentlemen.
I thought that was interesting also.
Okay.
When you said it's not necessarily synonymous with being a man or a woman, the masculine and feminine.
That's right.
But according to it, but just in terms of when you're saying what a woman wants to hear. There has to be something synonymous with that.
Well, but there's not. I mean, it's convenient for us. I don't know if I can say these two words, penis and vagina, but I just said that.
Yes, you can.
So, I mean, it's not about penis and vagina. I mean, there are energies at play in the universe. We live in a world of duality.
Right, yes.
Right? Light, dark, up, down, inside, outside, masculine, feminine, yin, yang. So that's really what's at play. And we all have those energies in our bodies, masculine
X and Y
and
chromosomes.
feminine. Well,
and energies,
sure.
yes.
we have, if masculine energy is direction, right? And like on a basketball court or in a sports, like direction, scoring the goal, whatever. We also have feminine energy, which is relaxing, surrendering, melting into our bodies, right?
Yes.
I mean, we all have these forces at play in our whole being, and so,
our biochemistry,
estrogen, testosterone, exactly. So, but what's happened is women have been, feminism was an important movement of women kind of going masculine and basically taking their power back, or not even back, but establishing their power of saying basically, like, we don't need men, because what men have done historically is oppress us, repress us, demean us, cordon us off, and
so
control
kind of a role
us.
reversal.
So there's a lot of role reversal happening.
The pendulum swaying too far in that direction.
There's a lot of role reversal happening. And this is an important development, because in that kind of stage, in that sort of men does this and woman does that, there's a lot of power struggle in that. And there is a lot of oppression. And men oppress women in that type of thinking, right? We control them with our resources. We control their bodies. We still do that in a lot of ways. But then also women, though, learn to manipulate men, because men have the resources in that situation. So women use sex to manipulate and keep their access to the resources. So this is
what you got to get what you want.
So that's a very kind of stage one mentality, absolutely, right? But we're an evolutionary species,
yes.
And so this masculine feminine thing. So women, we live in a time right now where our culture is, we've been taught this whole idea of we're equal, right? Men and women, we're equal, and we are. But the
And
thing
on
is,
a human level.
exactly, on a human level, like a human value, human worth, we are absolutely equal. The thing is, we're not the same.
No, not at all.
But that's what is actually not as common sense as you might, Sydney, think it is, apparently.
Okay, right. Apparently it's not.
Apparently it's not.
Yeah.
There's a reason that blog was shared 500,000 times.
Yes.
Because
A lot of girls feel misunderstood, and I guarantee you that
Yeah.
90% of the people that shared that blog were women.
So basically what you say, it's a sociological construct that we're being, that was introduced, I don't know, during the feminist movement, and it progressed to these outcomes of role reversal, the emasculation of men.
well, what's also happened
yeah.
though? Well, it's not even just the emasculation of men. Men have also then been encouraged to develop more of their feminine side, right? So we had women that learned to develop more of their masculine side. I mean, coming into the workforce to get work done, that's a masculine energy, right? To accomplish a goal, to hit your targets, to meet your numbers.
Right.
That's a very masculine orientation towards the world. Right, whereas femininity is more about being related, right, and community and caring for the whole. Femininity is about being in the flow of this moment. I mean, that's what we love about feminine energy, especially us. We'll just go man, woman for a second, right? Us men, we're all up in our heads. We see the world through our intellect and through what can we accomplish and how can we, kind of whole divide and conquer thing. And we are trying to solve the basic problems of the universe.
Right. So I do have a question. Do you think that it's an evolutionary thing, or do you think it's something that women say, okay, we need to be free, so therefore we need to start this movement, and those things change? Because I'm buying maybe the concept that because of too many people being on this earth,
Okay. Well, where's this going?
Yeah, follow me.
Okay.
Our natural inclinations say, okay, we don't need to procreate. The necessity is no longer to procreate. We're on this earth, man and woman need to procreate. So therefore, our energies ruled us because we need to procreate. But no longer, because that's no longer a necessity. You know what I'm saying? Our energy starts to fizzle in other directions. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
You kind of just went off.
I went off,
and that's cool. That's cool.
You're talking about masculine, feminine energy.
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I think that's another kind of philosophical question about why are we here, et cetera, and are we just here to procreate? And is this nature's way of slowing it down, kind of us getting more balanced? I don't know, but here's what I do see.
Survival of the species.
Definitely.
But here's what I do see, though, if I may. Here's what I do see. What's happening is in this evolutionary, at least in the humankind's evolution. So, historically we've been in this power struggle, again, this kind of stage one experience. David Deida talks a lot about this stage one experience. There's these three stages of how we relate to each other in intimacy. And the stage one is that power dynamic. Men do this, women do that, and that's it. We don't question that, right? And that's historically how it's been. And women, feminism was basically women saying, forget that. This doesn't work for us because we're tired of being oppressed. So again, now what's happened, we're in this stage two thing where we're kind of all 50-50. Right? Women are more masculine, men are more feminine. Men don't really know how to step up to women anymore, if we ever did. But we don't know how to really step up, and that's what that article was about, right? The three sexiest words. It was about, I got this, right? But we've lost that. We don't know. We don't have that. This
Do we still need
thing.
that?
Well, here's the thing, and this is
that still a necessity?
This is why that article was shared, because what that article is pointing towards the third stage of our evolution, which is men who generally embody more of the masculine energy on the planet, right? Our gift is to create that, is to show up and create that stability and that security.
We have the yearn for that.
And we have the yearning for that, man. Absolutely. I mean, look how, you can't hear this, but I'm holding my arms open. Like I got
they
you.
Can see it.
Yeah, they
right?
can see
So they can see it, right?
Yeah,
So let me over here. So I got you, right? That's the masculine gift, to provide that container within which our feminine women can relax and be feminine.
Do you think that that's necessarily a masculine feminine thing? Because to be honest, sometimes when there's a lot of shit going on and somebody walks in and says, I got this, I'm like, fuck yeah, bravo. Good for you. So it's funny to think that, like,
that's your feminine side kicking in.
That's why it's not. That's why it's not penis vagina. That's why it's not about penis vagina. Absolutely,
so
you're absolutely
just
right.
about the two energies.
It's about energy.
It's about energy. I definitely agree with that. And that was, for me, that was the most poignant thing in that article is that understanding of energy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we don't understand. I think that's what people don't understand. So that's, you lose your way when you don't understand yourself. And those are the things you don't understand about yourself are your energies and your polar your polar energies, which are masculine and feminine.
And that is this is why it's so important, because we, especially men, but our whole humanity, we reject feminine energy. Even in our own selves, we can't be vulnerable. Men, we don't even trust each other, right? Because we got to hold that facade, that masculine kind of rigorous strictness, like we can't let each other in and be real with each other because we don't trust our own feminine energy. We don't trust. We associate femininity with weakness.
I've often said that because I was raised by a woman, that it was one of the most beneficial things that's ever happened to me. Because when it came to becoming a man, I had no archetype to follow. So I got to pick and choose how and who I wanted to be. And it was really, it's been a very interesting process. I've went too far on one side, too far on the other. But when I actually did come and meet in the middle, that's what kind of spawned my book was, Modern Male. And it's funny because as you're talking, I never really touched on masculine and feminine energy, but it's kind of weaved throughout the book. Just in general. It is. In the way that you should,
the philosophy of it.
Yeah, and the way that you should actually interact. So it's really funny. It's amazing to hear you actually talk about it.
And it is. It's so important because look at this, guys. I mean, it's not, as we reject feminine energy, look at what's happening to our planet. I mean, if you look at, again, kind of masculine energy more associated with just being in our intellect and dissecting everything and trying to figure out, solve problems all day long.
Well, we're taught to reject it.
Well, that's what I'm pointing at. And that's why I think this conversation is important to really outline, because it's not just about embracing women, meaning people with vaginas.
Right.
This is about embracing that energy, because we are so disconnected. I was in the military. I was in the Air Force, right? At 26 years old, and talk about living in a world that drives you into your head and disconnects you from your body. That's what the military does. I mean, it literally tries to break you, separate you from your body. And that's kind of our culture in kind of a microcosm, right?
Yes.
Because we're taught to don't trust our emotions.
Yeah, we're taught men are one thing, women are the other. Rather than you are everything. Rather than the human is everything.
Sure.
Everything exists within you. So you are both, and it's how you balance it.
Absolutely. And because we reject that femininity even in ourselves, I mean, look, half our country is on pharmaceutical drugs because we are so disconnected from the wisdom in our body, our planet. We're poisoning our skies and our water because we're so disconnected from our earth body. I mean, it's not just about a man-woman thing. I mean, I think that it's like the thriving of our species is at stake because we reject feminine energy across the board.
Do you think that there was ever a period in history where we, actually embraced feminine energy? Is there a standout period of time historically?
That is a great question, and I don't know the answer to that.
Maybe the Renaissance,
I think everything's always in flux.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I think just throughout history, you've had certain parts of society that, have accepted that, and others that have rejected that, and it's been this battle. It
would be really interesting to go back and see which specific time periods were more feminine, which periods were more male, like a habitual.
Well, I don't think the whole periods, would be. I think you'd have to definitely look at certain pockets in certain periods of time.
Yeah, obviously.
To see, what kind of. Like you said, the Renaissance era. Okay, you had a bunch of painters and artsy people. Everybody painters are artsy people.
But it's often
who are tapping into
the arts and
into
creativity
arts and their creative energy, which is
feminine. And you actually go through the two.
Well, parts of it are feminine. I think some of it are masculine. You had some masculine people, building the pyramids and those things. You had some masons out there with some.
Again,
with
though,
some mind, with
that's
some
more
creative
directional,
minds.
and I'm going to build and forward. And it's funny because when you actually think about this, that fluid, that thing that you get when you're in the pocket and you're kind of fluid and you're here, but you're not really moving forward. You're kind of flowing around something. That's that feminine energy. It's that perfect. That's when you're most in touch with the universe, I feel like.
Well, and you look at the ancient Greek culture. I mean, they had female gods as well that were just as powerful as the male gods. I mean, obviously Zeus was the kind of the main god, and I'm just gonna look. I cheated in history in college, so let me not pretend like I know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Can't say I did that, right? But
and if the statute of limitations has expired, I hope.
Can't get you on the cheating, huh?
It's cool. I dropped out of high school. And college. I faked my way into college, and then I dropped out of college.
Women,
I love that we're coming clean.
I know, right?
This is important. Us men need to do this, man.
That's the feminine
For those of
energy.
you out there
Totally,
watching,
bro. It's
right? Come
totally.
clean, right? You know,
Be authentic. Be real with who we are. Absolutely.
I
This is
stole
so
a candy
important.
bar once.
It's okay.
It's crazy because we're digging into so much awesome deep stuff here.
Well, I think more of what we're saying is it's the wholeness. You know, it's not about you need more of your feminine energy or more of your masculine energy. It's about the balance of both, and that's how the universe works. You know, and we're merely just, you know, as I look at it, merely just a microcosm of the universe. Each
Definitely.
individual
Well,
is
I
a
think-
microcosm of the universe.
I think you touched on something that, you know, just because we had the feminine movement doesn't mean that a lot of females feel the same way. They just kind of followed up into this path that was feminism. And, you know, because of that, we as males have been told, back off, don't do this, don't be that. And we've been kind of pushed down in our masculine energy to where we've applied it in technology. We've applied it in safe places where, you know, we weren't going to interfere with girls. And nowadays, you know, women who had kind of like come up in this path of feminism but didn't really realize that this trail had been blazed for them are sitting there and are innately female, and their female energy is really craving some masculine energy.
Right.
But these guys have been beat to hell. So they're over here going, well, we don't even know how to be a guy.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I don't even know how to be a
Absolutely.
man right
Yeah,
now.
Yeah.
And I like to put the point. I have to go back to, you know, the way we're built naturally for the species to survive. And, you know, any concept that I try to think of, I have to go back to the go back to the beginning.
Survival of species.
And for our survival, I really do think that man had to be one way, you know what I'm saying, take more of the masculine energy and the female take more of the feminine energy to actually, for the species to survive.
And it might
I
not be
think-
necessary right now.
And right, it's the necessity of it now is not, so therefore the energy starts to blend and kind of move in a different way. And you have this tug of war. Before you can get to a balance, you have a tug of war. And I think we've gone, you know, with the feminine energy, you're like, okay, the feminists, like women are like, you know what though? We got to battle this. We got to battle this. And that was their, you know, that was their war. So therefore kind of, you know what I'm saying, kind of took men aback a little bit and it became this power struggle, like you said earlier. And it has to balance out somehow. And I think this is the age of the balance. The
yeah.
more we think about it,
Yeah.
the more we talk about it, the more we
Yeah.
communicate to it.
It's about to be the age of
about it to each
Aquarius,
other.
okay?
It is the age. It actually is the age of Aquarius.
For those of you who don't know, Sydney's obviously a Libra. We were having this
Balance.
conversation last
It's all
night.
about balance.
What do you think?
It's an interesting idea. I mean, if you just talk about like how our bodies are built, I mean, what happens when we get sexually excited, right? Our bodies tense. We get blood flows to one place. Our penis fills up and gets pointed and rigid.
And we become
If all
mindless.
is going well.
We become mindless.
Right.
If
The
everything's
blood-
working.
right, and we become single focused.
Right.
Whereas the female's body softens and relaxes and she opens up, right? Whereas we get erect literally and pointed, she
And
softens and
lose
opens
our
up.
mind.
Yeah, you like to go there, don't
Yes.
you? Because it's true though.
Because
we
we
do.
do.
Everyone does.
No,
Exactly.
but it has to
And
be an
and I-
off switch
but-
for the survival
but
of
the
the
thing is-
species. That's what love is.
And so it's an interesting thing, though, that, I mean, our bodies were literally programmed with this directional energy.
Uncontrollable,
And a female body
uncontrollable
was...
direction. You go this way. Because like, I always have this joke.
Okay, let's
I'm
hear it.
Brian, I always have this joke that I play. I was like, you know what though? If we can control it, if man didn't want, you know what I'm saying, if man didn't want to have sex every moment of his life, we would not be here today. If we could just go say, you know, if women walking by back in the day and, you know, and beginning of time, it's like, maybe not today. None of us would be here. It had to be that single, that focus. No, you go that directional focus. You go that way. And there's nothing else you need to think about but going that way right now for the survival of the species.
All right.
I don't know.
I got nothing to say that.
I
Sounds good to me.
definitely think that there'd be less of us. I'm not.
We definitely have a violent history of just absolutely conquering. Like I mean, if you were to look at it, you know, I have a friend who's
The animal kingdom does.
he was a product of a gang rape. Like his mom was gang raped. He didn't even know who his father was, right? But if you look in our history, I mean, all of our ancestors are a product of that type of kind of violent. But that's that kind of masculine energy run amok, just completely
Yeah.
having no respect for its feminine
a very
counterpart.
animalistic nature. I'm like, we are animals. We do. I'm like, our nature. A part of our nature is animals.
Sure. We have the lizard
I'm
brain.
like, right. If you look
Yeah,
at
sure,
the
why
animal
not?
kingdom, it's pretty violent when they get upon the
is.
sex. when they get into the sex, it's pretty violent.
I watched
You
two
know?
tigers.
There's not a lot of courting in the animal kingdom.
Yeah, I watched two tigers go at it once. That was traumatic.
It's traumatic for
Yeah,
you
and it kinda-
or for the
traumatic.
Tigers.
That was traumatic for me.
And it kind of makes you think about, the whole thing about evolution. It's like, okay, maybe we were just animals and we did operate like, you see on National Geographic. And we evolved into, well, some of us evolved into these thinking beings that have,
Some of us.
that have
Some of us evolved.
this masculine and feminine balance, so we can think about, the courting aspect of getting with a woman rather than the conquering aspect.
Well, here's the thing, because I actually really wanted to touch on this, which is amazing. You were talking about, the blog, it's centered around, we're talking about all of the deep stuff, but one of the cool things I noticed right off the bat was that I got this, the 3 magic words, I got this. It's interesting because in Methodology of the Modern Male, I actually, I talk about that in chivalry. Which is interesting because chivalry doubles. It's got a duplicitous purpose that it not only makes a woman feel cared for and taken care of, like, hey, I've got the door,
Some women.
I've got the check, I'm going to sit you down, I can bring you up,
Right.
When you're in my space, I've got you, I'm going to take care of you. And then it's also the best game ever because tapping a woman's desire to be taken care of is the best way to turn a girl on, which is fascinating.
Why does it need to be game, though?
Well, game's a bad word for it.
Yeah.
Game is a bad word. It's the wrong word. That give and take, that push and pull. We were talking about, at the very end of the book, I actually talk about how men and women, it's like an everlasting football game. Men seek a completion. Women don't ever want to complete the game. They just want to keep running around in circles, playing the game.
And it's kind of messed up how we think about that. That's the game.
Yeah.
It's real life. It's communication. It's love. Is it a game?
We actually get to that exactly what you were talking about. There's a part in the book where I actually kind of break down how to properly manhandle a woman if she's interested in that, and that's where she's begging your masculine energy to kind of take her and pin her down and win the game. And it's a really misunderstood thing. I was very hesitant to put a diagram, and instructions on how to actually override a woman.
Right.
Not override her, but if she was interested in that, to actually kind of exert your masculine energy in a way that was okay with her.
And us thinking about it as a game, maybe therein lies the rub.
Absolutely.
Because
I agree with that.
because one person, one person or one team wins the game. No one, what I'm saying, it's not two people don't win the game.
Yeah.
One person wins the game. So us, the way we think is the way we act, and is the way we operate. So we've been taught that this woman-male thing, this push-pull, is a game. So therefore, we go into it with
It's
a winning,
an adversarial dynamic.
adversarial dynamic,
Yeah.
and we go into it having to win.
Well, that's where you see a lot of gay guys, not gay guys, a lot of guys go in and they'll get the girl and then they'll slack off because they're grouping it as a whole, and they start getting lazy.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, well, I got the girl. Why should it matter now? And it's like, no, you're playing a game.
The Hunter syndrome.
Or you're playing football.
See, what us men don't realize is that our power, our real power, is not in our balls. It's not in our will. It's in our hearts.
Yeah.
It's in our heart. And when we connect to that, especially with our masculinity and our masculinity, our masculine gift comes from our heart. There's no game to play anymore. There's just us showing up and giving our gift. And that's really
Because it's a union more than, it's a union.
it's a partnership.
It's a partnership.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
crazy. There was a comedian who was talking about that once, a long time ago. I forget which comedian it was, but he was talking about how men like to give. And it was a funny thing. He was like, we like to give. You ever give a guy something? He'd be like, the fuck? What you think I need that? What you think I need that? But it's funny because it's true. Men are very, I see that as kind of the perfection of the male archetype is when when you meet a guy and they're centered and everything. They're, how can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I make this better? And very forthcoming with that kind of
It's really
stuff.
about changing. I think it's about changing the the talk and how we talk about things. How we communicate. Our language, the language we use. Automatically goes to the thoughts that we have. And I have to go back to we've been taught. Okay, this is a game. So therefore, we just think it's a game, and that's the thing we play.
Some people have been taught that. I was never.
Well, I think just in our society we are taught that.
In our,
Socially,
yeah.
as much as I am a thinking person, I can say, okay, you know what though, I'm not going to go with that.
Yeah.
I have been taught that too.
Yeah, the whole pickup culture, the whole pickup
culture, right?
You know,
you got some game.
You got game, teaching you techniques.
Yeah, son, you got some game, son. Even females. It's not just a male thing. Even females. He came with that weak game, girl. He ain't got no game from and they have the same language. You know what I'm saying? So it is, we're speaking this language. They're on one side, we're on the other. And we're waiting for the kickoff.
Well, pickup artistry is like, I mean, Jesus Christ, that one, that swung way.
That is the craziest thing in the world.
That's like a whole bunch of just hateful nerds running around.
It's a bunch of adolescents. It's a bunch of adolescent boys.
And it's a whole lot of people with problems with themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an adolescent boy psychology. In masquerading in grown-up bodies.
Well,
right.
I mean,
that's what that is.
Very well put.
A big part of the process of becoming a man is actually when you learn to interact with females, and I feel like the more females I interacted with, the more I learned where my masculinity was and where to find it.
And also, the more you learn to interact with yourself, know thyself.
Absolutely.
What you know about yourself and what you understand about yourself, you shine out. On everyone else.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And it was fascinating in my experience. So I kind of, I was kind of afraid. This is so weird, man. Because I had two moms. You were raised by one. I was raised by two.
Yeah, I read that. two moms and two dads. Yeah, I read that in an article.
But my moms were really the strong ones in my families.
Yeah, you were saying.
And then I got three sisters. So I thought
you had a lot of feminine energy.
I had a lot of feminine energy around me growing up, and I thought I knew how to be with women really well, and I did. I knew how to be a brother to women. I knew how to be a son to women. I knew how to be a friend to women. I did not know how to be a man to a woman. And I thought
because you didn't get that. You didn't get that from the men.
I did not.
That you were around.
I did not see a healthy. There was no healthy model for me to see about how a man steps up.
And a lot of that is the problem. We have this mix of different roles in the households. And as our adolescents grow up, they're seeing different roles played out. And that's what they latch on to. They say, okay, well, my pops is getting sunned by my mom all the time. Well, that's how it's supposed to be. And they start to operate like that.
And then you start to look for a woman who's going to do the same.
You always look for your mom. And women always look for their dad.
It's true. It's cliche, but man, there's a lot to that. With all the coaching work that I've been doing in the last year with men and women, it's like I didn't want to believe that, but yet it's so true.
That's what's impressed upon you.
That's the imprint we have.
Yeah, we're impressionable youth.
Exactly.
As we grow up, you're impressionable youth. I used to be a teacher, so and what I saw in the students and the parents, I was like, oh, they came to school with that, because I used to get very frustrated at my students when they came with attitudes or they're acting bad, and then I'd meet some of them parents and I'd be like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Get it
right?
now, yeah.
And I took that off the student. I took that off the child.
Yeah.
Before that, I was putting it on the child. You need to be disciplined. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You're just a bad kid. And then I met their parents. I was like, oh,
I get it.
They're just getting taught bad things.
Right. Yeah, and
it's interesting.
And so, growing up like this, growing up just surrounded by women, and then I thought, well, I should be great at intimate relationships. I should be great at this because I was just surrounded by women. But my relationships, man, they were just disasters.
Right, because I think the way you explained it, you're getting you're getting one side. You're getting bombarded with one side. This,
right.
The feminine side. This side, and that's all you got. So
well, and I was very much in my feminine energy. I was good at being I was good at being vulnerable. I was a great communicator. I was just great at being,
But you got to be a man too.
But I did not. And what I thought was, this is what blew my mind. This one coming back to when you said know thyself. I thought that I had to heal my relationship with feminine energy. I thought I had to heal my relationship with women or No, I had to heal my relationship with masculinity.
That
blew my mind.
You and Wayne Levine need to get together. Did you? I had a show wasn't the last show. It was the show before that. But we had a guy on here. His name was Wayne Levine. He was a coach, and he does like masculine boot camps and stuff like that. And it's just we were talking about the emotional.
So talk to us about your coaching.
Yeah.
When you get a student, how do you identify, I guess, their issues and move them through to where you think you need to get them to?
Yeah. Well, obviously, with every coaching conversation, it just depends on, well, where do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to experience? Right. And but here's what I find though. I find, again, so many women are they either distrust masculine energy. So many women either distrust masculine energy, or they and therefore they embody it themselves, or
they compensate.
Right, they compensate. So many women are just really compensating, and they're bringing their own masculine energy to the conversation, and then they're wondering why their relationships with men are so dissatisfying, right? So one of the things that some of the work that I'm really excited about is just, and it's ironic because I'm a man, but I did say I had 2 moms and 3 sisters, right? So helping
and 2
women,
dads.
and 2 dads.
You leave the dads out all the
I'm
time.
sorry, dads.
Do not leave
Look,
the dads out.
They're good men, and I want to say that my dads are good men, right? But they didn't know, just like so many men don't know. So,
is that because of the cycle they were in also?
Absolutely, because their own fathers, their own families, their own.
So it's a continuous cycle. That
it is, man.
The cycle of.
Well, it looks like we're kind of figuring it out. I have hope for the future. I think that it's great because we're for the first time in the world, or first time in the history of the world, we actually have things like coaches, and we have. People talk about how degraded and horrible our society is. We just go back and everybody wants to talk shit about how bad it is right now. And I sit here and I think, wow, I don't have to wake up today, strap a sword on, and worry about somebody killing me because they want something of mine.
Right.
I don't have to go out and worry.
Depends on where you live.
Well, exactly. Well, but I don't have to worry about dying before the age of 40.
I hear that.
I actually
Depends
get to
on where
worry
you
about
live.
things like retirement. I get to worry about, actually finding someone that I love versus, it working because, because of whatever, fucking arranged marriage or whatever it would be. And it's like, it's awesome. So now we've finally gotten to a place in the human race where we get to be like super introspective and just grow and be and exist and interact. And definitely, I think people are confused. I think they're angry. I think they're lashing out. But there's a lot of really cool stuff going on in that. You have a profession. Like you get to wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to heal some guy's life today. I'm going to teach some guy how to be a better man. And it's like, man, rewind, a decade and that didn't exist.
Right. Well, and all that really
in some places it still doesn't.
I mean, look, we're talking first world problems.
We live in the big city.
We're talking,
We live, I call them your big city problems. We live in the big city.
Yeah.
But you go to some of these nooks and crannies, even in the first world,
absolutely,
and you find the same things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You find the same quote unquote medieval thing. But tell us about Brian. Tell us about some of the techniques you use.
So my role is helping people come home to themselves. It's that simple, right? And there's a million techniques for that. But really, in the end, I mean, here's my vision.
Give us some of them for our listeners.
Okay. All right. Well, I just want to clarify, though, my vision, my dream is a world in which feminine energy, a healthy, queen, radiant, delicious feminine energy is alongside that strong, mature, visionary king energy, right? And that's what reveals itself through men and women. So techniques. I mean, one of the things that I'm really engaged in is simply helping women learn how to speak to their men if they want to be the feminine partner in the relationship.
Bam.
Communication. If they want to be the feminine partner, because they may not want to be.
Right.
But if they want to be the feminine partner, and this came up a lot through that blog that I wrote. There were a lot of women that are like, oh my God, I do want to be the feminine partner, but I've been being the man this whole time. Yeah. So I just start just little simple things.
I think that, women won the feminine war and they came through and the feminine movement came through and now men are sitting over here. And I've said it 100 times. I'll say it again. It is women's job now. It is women's job to communicate. I mean, they're natural communicators anyways. That is feminine energy. They should be communicating when and where and what they want.
No, I
have another thought about that.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that also. I'm like, do you put men and it's one thing to say this to a woman, okay, you need to do this, you need to do that, and then go over here and say this to a man, you need to do that, and no one's brought together to actually communicate that to each other, to understand that.
I mean, I want a woman to stand up and say, hey, I want to be the woman. This is how I want you to interact with me. That's all I want, and then it'd be like, cool. Because in any relationship I've ever been in, the first thing I do is ask them, okay, so how do you feel about these certain fundamental things? How do you want to trade this energy? Do you like it when I do that?
More importantly, I'm talking about his coaching techniques. Are men and women in the same room? Through your process
and the work I do
through their process.
Actually, no. When I work with a couple, I actually do different separate sessions.
Really?
I do separate sessions. Yeah.
Why is that?
But I also do group work where I have a lot of people in a room and do workshops, and that's a different energy, a whole different thing playing there. But in terms of actual couple work,
yeah, couple work.
separate. You know, and look, I'm still experimenting with different models, but that's the one that's working for me right now because it's a different conversation. It is a different conversation. I'm going to have a whole different conversation to a feminine partner than I am with the masculine partner.
Yeah, different conversation, but don't you think both people need to hear that conversation?
I'll let them go and talk about it after. I don't need to be there for that, right? And I'm not a therapist. I want to be really clear about this. I'm not a therapist. No, I'm not a therapist. No, because I've done therapy, and I actually have a master's degree in human behavior from the University of Oklahoma. I was this close to being a therapist. But you know what I saw, and even when I was in a relationship and I went to therapy, I saw a therapist. She was just trying to help us communicate, which that's cool. That's important, just helping us communicate. But she was helping us communicate as just kind of people. She did not. She was not able, or she just wasn't pointing out how one of us is a man and one of us is a woman, and that matters.
Yes.
She didn't point that out. We didn't go into that at all.
The operation is
We're
different.
communicating on different planes of thought and feeling, right? And so, you know, when I'm coaching with a woman, one of the things that I will remind her, or at least inform her, is that if she wants to be the feminine partner, do not ever criticize your man. Do not tell him he's doing it wrong. He doesn't need to be in the room when she hears that. That doesn't really serve him to be in the same room when she hears that. She just needs to offer that.
She needs to offer
right?
that. Okay.
And it's not that. See, and this is
Interesting
what.
point,
Yeah, because when you criticize a man, you're basically telling him he's doing it wrong. He's not good enough. He's not up to the task. He's not solving the problem. And our masculinity lives to solve problems.
Right.
And if our woman, the one like presence on the planet that we're aching to receive this feminine love and warmth and nurturing, and she's telling us we're doing it wrong, it's like that's you know, to a guy that cuts deep. And we'll respond in one of two ways.
Cuts your balls off.
And we respond in one of two ways.
For lack of a better cliche.
We'll either fight her back to claim our balls to make sure that we don't give them up, or we'll check out. We'll run away.
Therein lies the game.
And we may even stay in the room, but we'll check out mentally.
Yeah, mentally.
Game or power struggle, you
Right?
know?
So
or is it competition for identity? You know?
Exactly. All
of the above.
All of the above.
That's interesting because I never really dialed it down to that to that depth, to that dynamic where you know, it's crazy to think that one little thing.
Absolutely, it's
thing.
so simple.
The basic,
it's so simple.
The basic operation of our biochemistry.
Well, here's the thing too. You know, in that
X and Y
dynamic,
chromosomes, male, masculine and feminine. That's what it all goes down to.
It all boils down.
One of the things that our masculinity is, again, the masculine gift is to have direction, right? To take
vision,
action,
focus.
to have vision, focus, and to carry that out. And when we're in relationship with a woman that's kind of doing that for us, or giving us our direction, or that's where we start to either get more feminine, or we start to fight a lot because you're not going to outman me.
Makes us limp.
Right? Makes us limp. It makes us, we're either going to take, I mean, that's the definition of emasculating. It's just our partner
makes us limp.
Right? So, you know, it's like subtle things like that if again, and it just comes, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, if you want to maintain your polarity, you know, David Data, I love that. He said, if you want to murder sexual polarity, tell a man he's wrong and tell a woman she's ugly.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I've never heard it communicated in quite that specific way. So this is fantastic.
And there's probably a lot of women out there listening right now going, oh, but, you know, tensing up going, but if I didn't tell my man, like, how do I communicate then?
Train him.
How do I communicate
then? helping men.
Like,
women. And I'd like to answer that, though, if I may, because that's important.
Right,
I just told you what not to do.
Right. You go for it.
Right.
You go for it.
Tell us
Because I have a rebuttal on this one.
Because what to do? So, you know, a feminine woman's power in her femininity is the word no. It is in communicating what doesn't work for me. This doesn't feel good, right? It's our as a masculine partner. It's our thrill to have direction, right? To express our directionality, to penetrate our woman emotionally, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. And our woman, she's aching to surrender to that, right? But again, a lot of women are kind of in their masculine, and they're giving the direction, and they're putting up the barriers, and so we can't. We're as a lot of us men, we're not breaking through that. But But a woman, her power to stay in her femininity is no, and this doesn't work for me, and she can even kind of rage inside of that space. This isn't a timid, weak, just purely passive thing, but it's a no, this does not work, this doesn't feel good, I don't like this direction. But you solve it, man. You figure out, where are we going? You solve this. I'm not gonna solve it for you. You're the man. You figure it out. And that is what elicits our masculine force and our masculine direction.
See,
does that make sense?
I don't. It could make sense. So you're saying that.
Let's see if it does.
You're saying that a woman's power to say no, not to the man in general, just to, hey, I don't like this problem. Will you fix this for me?
No, I don't think that.
No. Okay. No. Then yes, I do understand, and no, I don't agree. I would say that women have. I think that women's number one strength is their ability to nurture. I think that. It's an innate animal need to nurture their children, their home. They're always cleaning things up. They're always filling a room. They're always, making things better and improving. When a woman switches her focus to no, and I don't like that, or that's when I see relationships kind of go down the drain, where the guy's like, nothing I do is right, and she's like, no, I don't like this, I don't like that. I mean, you go fix a problem, but she's kind of a stick in the mud. Whereas when a girl's like, hey, I really love that, the guy's like, I can do that for you, and if you switch that no to a yes, instead of this is what I don't like, this is what I do like, I think that women have an amazing capacity to use that nurturing ability to train their men. And some of the best relationships I found were relationships in where the men felt like he was in control the whole time, and the woman felt like she was in control the whole time. She felt like she was training him, and he felt like he was just, king of the roost. She felt like she was letting him be king of the roost. And it's this really it's a very, very cute thing that the two puzzle pieces fit very, very well. And and those relationships that I've seen focus mainly on yes. So do you have anything?
Yeah. I think what I'm hearing is kind of in that dynamic, I'm hearing I don't want to be trained, number one. My masculinity is all about, Braveheart, freedom. Don't train me. Don't manipulate me. Don't tell me what to do. Don't even try to trick me into
in
it.
The idea of, so what you want. So you're saying for a girl to say, hey, I don't like that. But it's the same thing.
Well, look, I don't want to be with a woman who's running around constantly telling me what she doesn't want. I mean, I want a woman we all want a woman who's lit up and radiating from the inside. She just supplies her own happiness.
I don't ever want a woman to say no to me. I want her to say, hey, I'd prefer that.
Right. And I think
but if you're acting in a way
I think
that doesn't work for her, I think you're probably right.
No, you're both saying the same thing.
Okay.
It's,
break it down for us,
a woman, right, I'm going to break it down. A woman says yes. When a woman says, yes, I like this, you know what I'm saying? She's saying, you could say, yeah, I like this. Well, baby, what about this? Well, I like this over here. She's not saying no to this, but she's saying yes to this. So she's saying no, but she's saying yes.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a mind play. Well, I don't like this, but I'm not going to tell you no. I'm just going to tell you what I do like.
I'll tell you what. I've been in relationships where women are very no, I don't like this, don't do that, and they're very like And then I've been in relationships where women were always super encouraging to your strengths and never talked about your weaknesses.
But also, Jared, it's also where they're at in their levels, in their balance of masculine and feminine. So some people.
I don't think it's a balance. I think it's being a bitch.
I'm saying some people hold on to,
just like men can be assholes,
right? Some people hold on to that energy, and it may work for them. I'm like, there are relationships that work where the woman is more masculine and the man is more feminine. I'm like, there are plenty of relationships that.
But here's the thing,
because that's what they hold on to.
That's not necessarily yes or no. That's just directional versus multi-directional.
I love what you're saying, though, in the sense of we want to be with a woman who's setting us up for success.
Yeah, who's building us, encouraging us.
And I totally agree with that. I definitely agree with that. What I'm pointing at is sometimes us men do stupid things. Right?
Fair enough.
We act in ways that are stupid. And the thing is, or we don't do what she wants us to do. And the thing is, as soon as she tells us what she wants us to do, she has just taken away our own freedom, in a sense.
Yes.
She's implied that we're not free to do whatever the hell we want to do. And that's something that as a man is very disempowering.
But in what context? Like if we're talking about making love to a girl, I want to know what she likes. I'm not just going to do whatever I want. My prerogative is to make her feel the best that I can. So of course I
But
want
some
her to,
women,
I
but
get
some
that.
women, no, but some women want you to do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
And they
That's
actually
true.
tell you that.
Yeah,
do
that's true.
whatever you want to
And
me.
they
There's
want
the
us to
key.
do it.
They tell you that. They tell you that.
Do whatever
Well-
you want to me, and that's
but-
the
Right.
energy.
She actually said that. She told you, and that's the defining factor.
She told
She
you.
told
She gave
you-
you permission
Or some-
that you didn't need,
Right,
that
right.
you thought you needed, but you actually didn't, and you're sort
Yo,
of.
that's better than being a rapist, you know?
I'm not. This is not about being a rapist,
That's not
man.
about. It's not about
This is
being
not
a rapist.
all about
because
being a rapist.
No, it's like a extreme.
the consent is there. The consent is
Exactly.
there. You're both knowing what you're doing.
And you know when the consent isn't there because she says no.
It's like,
Right.
look, I would rather go into something and ask first, maybe read the instructions before I put together the fucking thing wrong. I know that's not a man thing to do, to read the instructions, but how
But
many guys I know? Look,
you've never heard be a man and just do what you want to do. You've never heard
this
that.
is
of course I have. Of course I have.
Jared, this is exactly what I've been pointing at, though.
But
This
I
is what
either-
us men have been trained
I either asked her.
to. Our
Yeah.
directionality has been taken from us.
Yeah,
We've
but-
been trained to be so respectful, which is healthy to agree. I'm not arguing
Right,
against
and,
it.
we live in a new world.
I
We
think
live in a new
respect
world.
is
New
entirely
evolved
off.
world.
Exactly.
But sometimes women want to be ravaged.
Women want to be in their heart, in their they don't want us to ask fucking permission. They
Not at all.
don't. They actually don't.
Okay, so there are ways to
Because they already
They
told
don't
you-
want to be raped, but they don't want to be asked permission
They already
either.
told you.
Well,
They
I'm
already
not-
told you they want to be with you. They already.
Right.
The
They're
consent-
communicating in all kinds
The
of ways.
consent is there already, so you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about the consent. So leave the whole rape thing out of because the consent is there,
And you'll
Guess what
know
we
when
do?
it's not.
Right, and you know it's
Because-
so.
I talk about this
But
all
she doesn't
throughout.
want to. But she
Modern
doesn't
Male.
want to be
Yeah.
asked all the time. Is this cool? Is that cool? It gets
Exactly.
annoying to a
Yeah,
woman.
yeah, no.
Exactly.
Obviously,
It gets
I'm not
so
saying do
annoying
that.
to a woman.
But I mean, there are a few things right off the bat, right out the gate with a woman that you can actually start to go, okay, are you like this or you like that? And as you start to figure her out a little bit better, you know when and where to place your directional energy. I don't think that men should just run through and I'm a man and I'm going to be super directional. I think that
When
you
you're
should
playing
apply.
when you're playing football and you're running back, you just shoot through the hole. You pay attention.
super
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
gauge.
Yeah,
You'll say,
yeah.
okay, my line. You know what I'm saying? My
Yeah,
my blockers
exactly,
are over
yeah.
here. You shoot. So men naturally
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
We do
Yeah.
pay attention to how we're going to navigate.
And
If
you
this-
don't,
we're- if we're
you don't have to
connected. If we're
ask her, be
connected.
like,
If we're
hey,
connected.
baby,
Exactly.
how do you like this? But you can ask
Yeah.
without asking. You're smart. Like, you're not going to run up and ask the guy, hey, are you going to move right or left?
Yeah.
But you might do something
And
to make him react.
and
So you go,
sometimes
okay, he's
it's-
moving to the left. I'm going to go to the
And
right.
sometimes it's body. Sometimes it's body language. Sometimes it's
Exactly.
it's the energy. It's
Definitely.
the communication of energy.
Absolutely.
But if you weren't paying attention and you were just going full force, that can turn into a bad no
Well,
situation.
that's a problem with humanity.
very,
That's a
very
problem with
fast.
humanity.
Absolutely.
I think you
That's a-
totally.
really
That's
have to pay attention.
That's a humanity problem.
Well,
is
and-
no one's paying attention to each other.
And that is, again, the feminine gift, to being related, connecting, being connected to each other and
Mm-hmm.
reading those signs. I mean, that's what prevents us from being rapists, is that we can embrace our own feminine energy.
Right,
It's not
exactly.
just the law
Thank
that we're
you,
afraid
ladies.
of.
Right, we can
it's that
read this-
it's that we're connected and we can embrace our own feminine. So there's a cherishing and there's
and
a
it's an
genuine
energy.
heart care.
Energy is real. It's live. You can feel it. It's
Right.
there. It's not just this metaphysical thing. It's there. You can feel it. You ever, what I'm saying? You ever been close to someone and still feel them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel it, and you know what I'm saying. You feel when it's a little bit off, and you feel when it's on. Mm-hmm. It's not something that has to be just spoken. That language of energy. That's a real language, and if you pay attention to that, you'll get it. And you can just go in there. You just go in there and move how you move
right.
and groove how you groove. So, right?
All right, we're having a dance off. By the way, Brian, my mom was she's watching the show right now. She said she likes your shirt.
Oh, my
right.
very yellow lemon tangerine
right.
shirt.
Yeah,
Cool. Thanks, Mom.
It's
Hey,
very
Mom.
neutral. It's it's the symbol for yield, right?
Hi, Mom.
It's a symbol for yield.
Okay, interesting.
Right?
I
mean,
guess so,
we
yeah,
can-
I
that's
thought it
true.
was a symbol for
Yeah.
Big Bird.
So, Brian,
Thank you.
we're running out of time.
All right.
Where can people find you? What do you got going on? What are you promoting? Let's.
So, my website, Brian Reeves, Brian with a Y, BRYAN Reeves, REEVES.com. It's kind of my little landing page. I've got my blog there, and I'm just doing a lot of coaching programs, and I'm speaking more about this masculine feminine dynamic, and just like I said, man. it's my passion to just help people find their way home to what's true for them, because we're so
Awesome.
disoriented. And I'm really doing this really great coaching program with this comedian named Kyle Cease.
Okay.
He does transformational comedy, and he's
Okay.
just brilliant. Just had a big waking up experience. And
Oh wow,
so
maybe
he
we'll
and
have him on. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll have
We
him on.
should totally have him
That'd
on.
be awesome.
He is fantastic. So he and I are doing a coaching program together.
What do you charge for a coaching program? Where, how do they work?
Well, so Kyle and I were doing a 3-month coaching program. It's 2 days with us live. We're only doing this for 9 people, in fact,
Okay.
up in Big Bear. 2 days with us, and then we do 3 months of coaching, and then we do another 2 days in a cabin with us in Big Bear, and it's gonna be amazing. We just work on everything from relationships to professions.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall in
to
that
play, getting people in their flow and their alignment, and so we charge $5,000 for that, which is like crazy stupid, because I mean,
So
4
only
days,
the rich can be enlightened.
4
then.
days, rich man. In a year, we'll be
We're
charging
only
$25,000
only
for that.
enlightening the
That's
rich.
true. So it's 2 days with you guys and then another.
3 months online coaching, and then another 2 days with us.
Yeah, I've
It's how
met
you
gurus.
and it's how you value that, and that's that's very
Absolutely.
important. It's
I've
how-
met gurus that charge 10 grand to 20
Yeah, of
grand for
course.
that.
Oh, I've
And
worked
yeah,
with a coach
exactly.
that charged $75,000 a year.
because it's the value you put on
Absolutely.
your evolution.
Absolutely.
How much, what is my evolution worth? What am I worth in terms of where I want to be? And that's the value. And I think $5,000 is not that bad.
Absolutely, absolutely not.
Not that bad for evolution.
Do you have anything for a price bracket for,
Yeah. So I do private coaching, and right now I do couples, and I charge $800 a month for couples, $600 a month for singles, and I have a 3-month package right now.
Do you do work with any kids? Did you do like community service with this? Because I think that catching
that's
people
good.
catching people in their adolescence and giving them these tools makes better adults.
You're very right. And actually, I want to hit the college circuit next year. I want to speak at colleges.
Woo, woo.
Bring this message.
That's where we're going.
Because
Even-
again, if
even
you look,
high schools.
You look at it. I mean, traditionally, boys were initiated into manhood between like 12 and 15.
Yes.
Right. And now that doesn't happen ever. I just turned 40, and I feel like I'm just stepping into my manhood. Right. So absolutely,
It's
man.
become later and later. Yeah. We need to catch these youth. So therefore, it might put you out. If we catch the youth, it might put you out of business. But because people,
man.
they'll be all right.
There's so much
They'll
work
be
to
all
do.
right.
There's
They'll
so
be all
much
right in
work.
adulthood. But but we need to
There's
catch
so
these
much
kids.
work to do.
Well, cool. So anything else? Any other projects coming up? Any other speaking gigs? Anything?
Anything we should know? Anything you want to blast out into the air?
Just please, I write about this stuff all the time. Sign up for my blog, brianreeves.com. Just it's all there.
Brian with a Y.
Brian with a Y. Thank you. Yeah,
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
And as always, you can find us at methodologyofthemodernmale.com. Again, that's methodology of the modern male.
Modern Male Radio.
.com. And LA Talk Radio /Jared.php. There are tons of links. Just Google me. You can find me online. And Sydney
Hall. That's right. Catch me at Jared's links.
There we go. All right, guys. Well, that's all for tonight, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Modern Male Radio.
Peace.
You're listening to Modern Male Radio with Jared Zavastosky and Sydney Hall, right here on LA Talk Radio.